Well, hello there, humans, of his earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and who you're lucky enough to be doing it too on Bushka Blitz. Oh, so much going on at the moment. We just had a fantastic first stream back yesterday. The internet is fixed. I'm going to be streaming all the bloody time. Tonight we're going to be doing a warship stream on Bushka on boats. So if you're interested in listening to some banter and some senseless mucking around, check that out. That's going to pop at some point tonight. If you're not subscribed to that already, just go to... I think it's on the right-hand side of the channel here. You can see there is a link for Bushka on Boats. I'm pretty sure, let me just check. I'm having a look on my supercomputer here. The hamster is running. The golden kangaroo out the back is pumping. Yeah, there you go, Bushka on Boats. It's on the front page. So if you want to watch me streaming there. The stream was brilliant too because it also, we had a lot of donations through YouTube Super Chat. So thanks Stinky Fruit Roll-Ups. Sergeant Harmon, a couple of other humans there, Patrick, Big William Sanchez and Stinky again, but particular thanks to Ergot and Nunu underscore Safi, my boys in the UK and around the traps, who put up some big donations for me there, and that was bloody lovely because the missus thinks it's great if I'm actually having a proper job. This is the 183. Why is the 183 so amazing? Because it's got the biggest gun in the game. It's got the 183mm gun that no one else can touch. And there is just something particularly gorgeous and endearing about dropping massive bundles of angst and frustration upon people with the biggest weapon in any particular game. I know in World of Warships, everyone wants to drive the Yamato, and in fact that was the first tier 10 boat I got in World of Warships because it's got the biggest guns and it can go through any armor. They call it the LOL pen machine. Because, lol, you got penned. And this tank has been the recipient of some really pleasant buffs with patch 3.8. The equipment loadouts have made life a lot more, straightforward and simple for tanks like the Fv215b 183, particularly with relation to bouncing, as you're going to see there. I'm going to chat to you a little bit now about the equipment loaders. Now, this is the dry section of the video. You can always skip ahead to where the action picks up again. But for the most part, if you are looking at grinding this tank or going through it, you need to watch this stuff as well. Now let's chat a little bit about patch 3.8 and the equipment loadouts that have changed with the 183. A lot of people have asked me about this tank, and it's one of the reasons why I'm doing it very, very early in the piece. It's a lot of people's favorite tank to just roll around in. There's people with thousands upon thousands of games in this thing because they love the massive damage it puts out. And when it works tremendously well. The way it works, though, is very, very interesting. You have good damage numbers in it. You actually have good penetration and everything on your gun. You've got 183mm L4, and you can see right here that you have 326mm of AP pen and 231mm of high explosive pen. Now, that high explosive pen is Hesh, and it's got such good pen on it at the moment because I'm running calibrated shells, as opposed to gun rammer. Now, without the calibrated shells, your pen drops right down to 220mm of pen on your Hesh, your high explosive squash head shells, or 310 on your AP. Now, the reason you want to roll with higher calibration on this tank is you get 1300 average damage. That's an average roll is 1300 on a full penetrating shot of Hesh, or 930 on AP. Your damage per minute more than any other tank in the game. Your damage is tied into penetration. Even though it has good penetration, that might sound a little bit odd, but without penetrating, you lose massive amounts of damage. A bounce hurts this tank way more than it hurts a Comet or a T62A. Let me give you an example. A T62A we'll grab a 62A. That's a pretty straightforward example. A T62A is firing 11.6 rounds a minute. That means when it drops a shell, it drops 1/11th of its total damage per minute output for that period of time. If you are in an Fv215b 183 and you drop a shell, you are dropping 1/3 of your total damage for that period of time. And boys and girls, this is a tank that at times will only get off 1 to 2 shots in an engagement, in a brawl, in a nasty nasty, nasty place. And that's a little bit disingenuous too, because you get 3 rounds a minute, but you're going to fire the first one from 0 and then the clock starts. But you get my drift. If you bounce, you are in all kinds of trouble. And that's why the new equipment loadouts have done great things for this tank. You can run calibrated shells. Now that gives you a much, much better chance of penetrating. It's 5% more damage on your penetrating shells. You then get a choice, and this is all in the combat power row, of running supercharge, which is a great tool if you're sniping, or you can run enhanced gun lane drive. Now, I personally run the enhanced gun lane drive, and I run the vertical stabilizer. Previously, in past patches, you couldn't get vertical stabilizer on all these tanks, and now you're able to absolutely maximize the gun handling. So for a tank with very poor gun handling statistics, as in it's got a 5.1 second aiming time, even with vertical stabilizer running, and you have a dispersion of 0.362, being able, and you only get 3 rounds a minute, like you get 3 rounds a minute. If you cannot hit those shots, you are just absolutely helpless like a babe in the woods. So you end up in a situation where running, oh man, I've talked for too long, but maximizing gun handling is absolutely, brutally, 100% key. So calibrated shells, enhanced gun lane drive, vertical stabilizer. Then I run protected module. I run the armor percentage because it's much, much better for a tank like this to have better armor. The toolbox, the repair speed, because a damaged ammo rack or something in this tank is death. And then I run high-end consumables as well as optics and the improved traverse, because the ability to traverse well is already great. Like, it's got 42 degrees per second of traverse with this buff. That's massive, absolutely massive. And it gives it the ability to really shake around, which is, for a tank this big, is crazy. And then I run the buff to the adrenaline and such, because 15% bonus to your speed of, like when you're in a brawl or something, 15% is just monumental for this tank. Being able to actually have a longer where you're charging up the gun quicker is really, really important. So here I am running around with my good mate Azza, aka Mr. Ouija, aka the Mushroom Farmer, aka Big Daddy Smooth. The Colombian Marching King. I'm just making this stuff up as I go along. I'm in the 183. I love the dress blues. This is the camouflage I have with this tank right now, and I've had that for quite a while. This is on my Bushka account. It is not on my contributor account. It goes without saying that this is one of the first tanks that I actually spent spare parts on. And I ran out of spare parts without putting it on a lot of my favorite tanks. And you're going to see the gun handling in this game. Look at the reticle. In the old days, that's not happening. With gun lane drive and vertical stabilizer on there, the gun handling is just so much better. You really can feel it, and it makes a massive difference to the game. You can see my good mate Azza there. He's pushed up quite hard. There's a Yag Tiger. We're going to take our time, get the shot off. Look at the massive damage that you can put in with this thing. I mean, you hit with this, they stay hit. And this is not a big video about, look how much damages I did and all this kind of thing. I mean, I've got plenty of videos up there where I've done 6, 7K games in the 183. This is more a video just highlighting, after patch 3.8, exactly how this tank has been affected. It's got better mobility. It's got better gun handling. Those two things are huge, and it's got better penetration. So if you're a tank destroyer and your natural enemy was mediums or big aggressive heavies, the ability to move about the map and traverse quicker, the ability to not miss so many shots with poor gun handling, and the ability that the removal of binoculars and camo has actually meant that there's not such an incentive now for people to camp at the back and just use that synergy that camo and binoculars had to really wreck you is just fantastic. You can see that T95 is in a very, very tight spot there now that I've got myself across. I'm going to use AP. I use a lot of HESH on this tank normally. I wasn't running HESH to the degree that I normally do for these videos because I wanted to just highlight how good the tanks become and play it as a very, very solid, normal tank destroyer, which is exactly what you're going to see in this game and the next one. A little bit unfortunate here. Go for the kill shot when I knew I wasn't going to get it in. Go for the kill shot. Go for the big shot when I knew I wasn't going to go and get it in, and I tried to kind of turn it around that corner, which didn't happen. I'm running this with Azza in the IS-4. Now, this is a great combo because the IS-4 is tough as nails, Russian heavy, with the plus 5% armor buff, and again, the gun handling buff. It's really come into its own. I still love it. It's my favorite tier 10 heavy when it comes to just tanking damage and being a nasty big bugger. Now, I can see that there's not much left here. They are aware of where I'm at. They're not going to come out again. God, I love the dress blues. Have a look at it. So I'm going to push across here and help my good mate Azza with a little bit more of the gun handling love machine that the 183 has become. And we have a lot of fun when we run these tanks. I love running tier 10. You might have seen the stream yesterday. Swiss Cheese and I had one game in tier 10 and it was monumental. It was absolutely incredible. Go and watch the last game in the stream. It was, it was huge. Swiss with big shoulders. I mean, I didn't do too badly. I think I did 3.5k. But Swiss with a massive monster carry in the end. And you can see there we're having a little bit of fun. Just rolling across. And I switched to Hesh because Hesh is good. And I immediately donk the shot. Don't get a full roll. But it's the back of an IS-7. You're never going to get through it. It's just the most trolley shot tank the world's ever seen. So you can play this tank with the mobility and the gun handling a lot more aggressively, and that gives you the opportunity to move with the team and actually still produce really good quality damage and games. And running it with a little bit more calibration, and I tried it both with the gun rammer and with the calibration, and I found even though the calibration, the calibrated shells are only 5% more, the gun rammer being 7%, which is an overall nerf down. I much prefer the penetration. You can see the tank right here. The gun handling is so much better. Like, the gun handling is just absolutely streets ahead. It feels like that to me anyway. And this, I can only go on my roadmap and my road tests, and I feel like the gun handling is just streets and streets ahead. And the other thing I really noticed was, even though it doesn't have a great top-end speed, it was always pretty nimble for a TD. Now, it struggles with getting the gun down over the front, which can be an issue. I mean, that was a tough shot. That was incredibly tough. I can't really blame that one. I'm suspecting that I'm going to be pushed up on here, so I'm going to be very aggressive and roll forward. I've dropped the adrenaline. I want to get that reload around to the point where when that 215b was coming across, I could push up on him and still get the shot in. Unfortunately, he wasn't particularly coming across at any great rate of knots, and so I just hit him with a Hesh shot in the side for 1287 anyway. See what I mean about the big gun? Like, when you can roll 1300 on a heavy tank, 1300 damage on a heavy tank, and you saw how much of that tank was available to pen. I've switched back to AP rounds now because obviously if they are under 900 damage, they are a one-shot. They are one-shots. That 7-on-1 has the stock gun, so I'm very happy to push up and trade shots with him. You can have a 200 alpha damage on me, and I'll have all the alpha damage on you. And I'm going to pull back here, and I'm going to go a little bit up the hill. Now, this is a thing you can do with this tank particularly well. Fire over the sides, a little bit down the hill, sorry. Fire over the sides, nail them, move on with life, and everyone's a winner. So that's the 183. That's how patch 3.8 has affected it. I've done so many videos on the 183. But I really think that the patch has been overall very positive for it. If you spent your spare parts on this tank, I think it's one of the tanks that has benefited the most from it at tier 10. It's been just lights out gorgeous to play for me since I got it back and rolling. Anyway, boys and girls, I'm Bushka on Blitz. Look around for the streams. There's going to probably be another one on tomorrow. I'm going to go to Tank Fest at Bovington in the UK in June. We've had a late call up to a family event over there with my wife's parents and her friends and all that kind of thing. And I wasn't going to be there. And I mean, I've never talked to Wargaming about it, so I don't know if I'll be able to get any features there for the Wargaming day where you go along and you meet the YouTubers and the people that are there. But if I am, that'd be great. Make sure you send a letter to your local Wargaming MP asking them that Bushka be put on the dance card so you can come and say g'day. I'm just making this stuff up as I go. Honest to God, I don't know what goes on in my head. But I am going to go and hang out with some of the patrons there and say good day to a few people and shake hands and kiss some babies. It'll be great fun. I'm really looking forward to it. That's June 24th, 25th at Bovington in the UK. Tank Fest. I believe some of the patrons are even going to be wearing T-shirts, which is awesome. Until next time, boys and girls, thanks very much for coming along. Stay safe on the battlefield, and bye for now.